In this video, we'll be taking a look at 5 NBA games happening on January 11th, 2026, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 10 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets. As we provide these videos on a daily basis, I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 5 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start: if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Miami Heat versus Oklahoma City Thunder. The Oklahoma City Thunder welcomed the Miami Heat to the Paycom Center on Sunday night, and this one has a weird mix of dominance on one side and chaos on the other. It is very much a spot where the number on the spread matters almost as much as who is actually better right now. The Heat are coming in off losses to the Timberwolves and Pacers, with the Suns waiting for them next, and they have still managed to win 5 of their last 8 games overall. So they have not completely fallen apart, but that big loss to a slumping Pacers team last night absolutely stings. The Thunder, meanwhile, keep cruising. They just beat the Jazz and Grizzlies, have the Spurs up next, and they have taken 36 of their last 43 regular season games, which is a powerhouse stretch no matter how you slice it. In terms of bodies, the Heat actually have a full squad available, which has been rare for them this season. The Thunder are still missing Isaiah Hartenstein, Nikola Topic, and Thomas Sorber, but they have already shown they can keep their high level through those absences. From Miami's side, there is a real sense of frustration. The offense feels broken again, and that loss to the Pacers just underlined how messy things can get when their shots stop falling and the ball sticks. They are one of those teams that can look like an elite offense for a week, then suddenly struggle to even get to 90 points, and it drives people crazy. If that colder version shows up, the Thunder really might smoke them. Here is the thing, though: the Heat usually play to the level of the competition. So facing a top team like Oklahoma City and catching a big number, it is reasonable to expect a stronger effort than what they just showed. We also rarely see Miami as a massive underdog, and this will be the first time since last April that they are catching double digits, which automatically makes the spot interesting. On top of that, you could argue this is a mild look-ahead spot for the Thunder with the Spurs on deck, even though they are good enough to handle both. The Heat are on the second night of a back-to-back, and that is not ideal for legs or focus. Still, even when you factor in their bad offensive nights and the Thunder's current form, the spread feels a bit too high for this particular matchup. The more likely flow is Oklahoma City jumping out early, doing what they do, and then a healthier, desperate Heat team clawing back late and sneaking inside the number with a classic backdoor cover. Honestly, it is not comfortable, but it makes sense to grab the points and live with the variance. As our first pick for this matchup, the Miami Heat to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The Miami Heat are averaging 120.1 points on 46.9% shooting and allowing 117.4 points on 45.9% shooting. They are shooting 37% from beyond the arc and 79.3% from the free throw line. On defense, they are allowing 34.4% shooting from deep and grabbing 45.6 rebounds per game. Those numbers show an offense that can absolutely score, but they also hint at some structure. Good three-point shooting, solid free throw work, and strong rebounding can lead to plenty of points, but they can also help control pace when the game tightens, especially if Miami leans more into half-court sets and fewer wild transition possessions. The Oklahoma City Thunder are averaging 121.9 points on 49.4% shooting and allowing 107.2 points on 43.1% shooting. They are shooting 36.7% from beyond the arc and 83.7% from the free throw line. They are allowing 37.3% shooting from deep and pulling down 44.2 rebounds per game. That profile is fascinating. On one side, you have a high-powered, highly efficient offense with strong shooting from everywhere. On the other, you have a defense that holds opponents to a low field goal percentage overall while still giving up some decent looks from three. So Oklahoma City games do not always become track meets because their defense is good enough to squeeze opponents for long stretches. When you line both teams up, it is tempting to just assume a big total, but there are a few things nudging the other way. The Heat are on a back-to-back, which can drag their legs and nudge them toward a slower, more deliberate style. Their offense is in one of its broken stretches, at least recently, and running into a defense as efficient as Oklahoma City's does not make life easier. Miami's rebounding and the Thunder's rebounding both help end possessions, which can quietly shave off some of the extra scoring chances that push games over. So even with two offenses that can post big numbers, the combination of a strong Thunder defense, Miami's recent inconsistency, the back-to-back spot, and solid work on the glass on both sides points more toward a game that lands under a lofty total than one that completely explodes. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Washington Wizards vs. Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns welcome the Washington Wizards to the Mortgage Matchup Center on Sunday night, and this one sets up like a classic heavy favorite versus fragile underdog spot. The Wizards are coming in off losses to the 76ers and Pelicans, with the Clippers on deck, and they have dropped 32 of their last 43 games overall, which is a brutal stretch for any locker room. On the other side, the Suns just took care of the Grizzlies and Knicks, with the Heat waiting next, and they have won 9 of their last 12 games. They are not just winning, they are doing it with a kind of steady confidence that bettors really latch onto. In terms of personnel, the Wizards have ruled out Cam Whitmore and the newly acquired Trae Young, which strips away some of the scoring punch and creation they were hoping to lean on. The Suns are still missing Jalen Green, but even with that absence, their overall structure and rhythm have held up just fine during this current run. Washington had been on a nice little push before dropping these last 2 games. Then came that big loss to the Pelicans on Friday, where the defense really fell apart, and that kind of performance is exactly why they show up here as such heavy underdogs against a red-hot Suns group fresh off a solid win over the Knicks. Here is the funny part. For most of the season, it has been much more comfortable backing the Suns when they were in the underdog role. Odds makers kept hanging quirky numbers, and riding those mispriced lines turned into a very profitable angle. This spot is a drastic shift in the market. Still, the Wizards are in such rough shape that it is genuinely hard to make a strong case against Phoenix here. The Suns are now 26-10-2 against the spread on the season, which comes out to a 72.2% cover rate, and that puts them head and shoulders above everyone else in terms of being the team you most want to have a ticket on. These teams last met on December 29th, and the Suns went into Washington and handled business by 115-101 on the road. Given how both sides are trending, it is easy to expect a bigger margin this time with the Suns at home and the Wizards wobbling again, so the hefty number does not feel quite as scary as it looks on paper. Insane chalk or not, stepping in front of that sort of cover success is a risky hobby. Sometimes the simple move is just to keep riding the hot hand until there is a real sign the wave has broken. As our first pick for this matchup, the Phoenix Suns to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Washington Wizards are averaging 113.2 points on 46.1% shooting and allowing 124.7 points on 47% shooting. They are shooting 36.2% from beyond the arc and 75.5% from the free throw line. They are allowing 37% shooting from deep and grabbing 44.3 rebounds per game. Those numbers tell you a few things at once. The offense is respectable enough to get into the 1-teens, but the defense is leaking badly, especially when opponents get comfortable from outside. At the same time, the rebounding is solid enough that possessions are not endless on either side, which matters once you start thinking about pace and total points. On the other side, the Phoenix Suns are averaging 115.3 points on 46.6% shooting and allowing 113.2 points on 47.2% shooting. They are shooting 36.4% from beyond the arc and 79.5% from the free throw line. They are allowing 35.5% shooting from deep and grabbing 43.3 rebounds per game. So you have a matchup where one team gives up a lot of points and the other allows scoring but is not completely helpless on that end. Both offenses can reach the mid-1-teens, but neither side is built purely on wild pace. There is a fair bit of half-court execution, a reliance on jump shots, and reasonably strong work on the glass by both teams. That combination can quietly pull a game under a high number. If the favorite gets out in front, the tempo often settles into a slower, more methodical rhythm with longer possessions, more clock burned on each trip, and heavier bench involvement in the later stages. The Wizards' offensive inconsistency and their recent defensive issues can also lead to empty trips and bunches, which trims some of the late scoring that usually pushes games over the top. Given the shooting percentages, the rebounding on both sides, and the likely game script leaning toward control rather than chaos once a gap forms, there is a logical path to this matchup landing beneath a lofty total rather than turning into an all-out shootout. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Milwaukee Bucks versus Denver Nuggets. The Milwaukee Bucks head into Ball Arena to face the Denver Nuggets on Sunday, and it is one of those spots where health and momentum matter as much as the name on the jersey. The Bucks just beat the Lakers, dropped one to the Warriors, and have the Timberwolves up next, and they have won 6 of their last 9, which is a solid stretch for a team trying to push its way back into full rhythm. Denver's recent run has been choppier. They beat the Celtics, then fell to the Hawks, and they have the Pelicans on deck, with 5 losses in their last 8 games, hinting that they are searching for consistency again. On the injury front, the contrast is pretty stark. The Bucks are coming in with a full squad, which is a luxury in a long season. The Nuggets are still missing Nikola Jokic, Cameron Johnson, and Jonas Valanciunas, with Jamal Murray and Spencer Jones both listed as questionable, so they are juggling rotations and leaning harder on depth pieces than they would like. Milwaukee enter as the healthier side and the one in better form, and that tight win over the Lakers should give them plenty of confidence. Winning a grind like that usually reminds a group of what its top gear looks like. Denver, to be fair, could get Murray back in the lineup, and they are always tough in their own building, so this is not some automatic walkover. You can absolutely make a case for taking the Nuggets with the bucket at home, especially if a couple of those questionable names are cleared. The problem is that their injury report keeps growing, and it is tough to back them with real conviction when so many key players are either out or banged up. That last game against the Hawks was ugly, and it did not exactly calm any nerves about their current floor. The Bucks have not been world beaters on the road, which is worth remembering. Even so, they have a locked-in Antetokounmpo leading the way, and he has the kind of game that can completely overwhelm a short-handed opponent, especially when that opponent is stuck relying on backups of backups for heavy minutes. So while an upset from Denver would not be shocking at all, the momentum edge sits with Milwaukee right now. With a small spread to deal with, laying that short number lines up with the healthier roster, the better recent form, and the star who can tilt everything in a single quarter. As our first pick for this matchup, the Milwaukee Bucks to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Milwaukee Bucks are averaging 113.1 points on 48.5% shooting and allowing 115.9 points on 46.7% shooting. They are hitting 39.7% from three-point range and 73.1% from the free throw line. Defensively, they are allowing 36.1% shooting from deep and grabbing 40.4 rebounds per game. Those numbers sketch out a team that shoots efficiently, especially from outside, but also gives up more than it would like on the other end. The high three-point percentage on offense suggests they can put up points in bunches when the perimeter shots go down, and their defense is leaky enough to invite back and forth stretches. The Denver Nuggets are averaging 128 points on 50.8% shooting and allowing 121.6 points on 47.3% shooting. They are shooting 40% from beyond the arc and 82.6% from the line. They are allowing 35.2% shooting from deep and hauling in 44.7 rebounds per contest. That is a profile built for big totals. A team scoring 128 per night on over 50% from the field and 40% from deep is naturally going to raise the scoring ceiling of almost any game. Pair that with allowing 121.6 points and you end up with a lot of up and down basketball, plenty of clean looks, and limited stretches where defenses truly clamp down. When you line both teams up, the picture is pretty clear. One side has top-tier efficiency and a shaky defense. The other shoots very well from three and also gives up plenty on its own end. Rebounding is strong enough on both sides to create second-chance opportunities instead of one-and-done trips, which usually adds more points rather than taking them away. Put all of that together, efficient shooting, soft enough defenses, and strong rebounding, and you get a matchup where a higher-scoring game is more likely than a grind fest. If the offenses play anywhere close to their season numbers, the total has a very good chance of landing on the higher side. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Atlanta Hawks versus Golden State Warriors. The Atlanta Hawks head into Chase Center to take on the Golden State Warriors on Sunday, and this one feels like a clash between a team trying to wake up and a team that has already caught fire. The Hawks are coming off wins over the Pelicans and Nuggets with the Lakers up next, but they have still dropped 13 of their last 19 overall, so the bigger picture is still rough. The Warriors, meanwhile, just took down the Bucks and Kings and will see the Trail Blazers next. They have won 8 of their last 11, and that kind of steady run has them looking much more like the confident version of themselves again. In terms of personnel, the Hawks are still without Zachary Risseker, and they are monitoring Kristaps Porzingis, who is listed as questionable for this one. The Warriors have ruled out L.J. Cryer and Seth Curry again, so their guard rotation remains a bit thinner than usual on paper. Atlanta does at least look like it might be turning a small corner. They are coming into this matchup fresh off a massive win over the Nuggets, which gave them 4 wins in their last 6 outings, so there is at least a sign of life. Still, the Warriors have clearly been the hotter overall side. They looked absolutely red-hot in that 34-point demolition of the Kings on Friday, and games like that have a way of echoing into the next one. Golden State has been beating up weaker teams pretty consistently over the last couple of weeks, and that theme could easily continue here because the Hawks are still treated as a bad team for a reason. The Warriors have had some trouble covering spreads, especially when they are favored, which always plants a little doubt when you see them laying points. Even so, it is hard to talk yourself into the Hawks with any real enthusiasm. Yes, the Hawks are coming off those recent wins, and they have at least shown there is still a heartbeat in that locker room. But in spite of that, the trust level is still low. You can like the flashes while still not wanting your money tied to them. There is a small twist here, and what we have seen recently from the Hawks does give them a puncher's chance at an upset if everything clicks. However, the Warriors have been one of the hottest teams in the league lately, and with a modest line at home, they are simply too hard to pass up. They are experienced, they know how to stack wins, and they have been piling them up against non-playoff caliber opponents, so it makes sense to believe that pattern can hold at least for one more spot. As our first pick for this matchup, the Golden State Warriors to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Atlanta Hawks are averaging 119 points on 48.2% shooting and allowing 119.9 points on 47.6% shooting. They are shooting 37.3% from beyond the arc and 77.8% from the free throw line. They are allowing 35.6% shooting from deep and grabbing 41.8 rebounds per game. That stat line tells a pretty simple story. The Hawks can absolutely score, they give up almost as much on the other end, and they let opponents shoot efficiently from outside while not completely dominating the glass. Games like that often turn into track meet stretches where neither defense really gets full control. The Golden State Warriors are averaging 115.2 points on 45.5% shooting and allowing 113.9 points on 46.6% shooting. They are knocking down 36.3% from beyond the arc and 81.9% from the free throw line. On defense, they are allowing 34.6% shooting from deep and pulling in 43.6 rebounds per game. So now you have 2 teams that score in the 1-teens, both allow solid efficiency, and both shoot the 3 well enough to punish slow rotations or late closeouts. Golden State also rebounds a bit better, which can mean extra possessions, second chance looks, and more trips to the foul line. Put that together, and you get a setup that leans clearly toward a higher scoring environment. The Hawks' defensive numbers suggest that the Warriors should find good looks, while Atlanta's own offensive numbers say they can keep up enough to push the total along. With both teams comfortable playing at a pace where offense leads the way, this matchup has a strong chance to land on the higher side rather than getting bogged down into a grind. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Houston Rockets versus Sacramento Kings. The Houston Rockets roll into the Golden One Center on Sunday night to face the Sacramento Kings, and this matchup has that familiar theme of a struggling home team catching points against a favorite that has its own issues finishing games lately. The Rockets just beat the Suns, then took a frustrating loss to the Trail Blazers, and they have the Bulls on deck. But even with that stumble, they have still won 5 of their last 8, which shows they are not exactly in crisis mode. The Kings, on the other hand, are badly out of rhythm. They are coming off losses to the Warriors and Mavericks, have the Lakers next, and they have dropped 16 of their last 20, which is the kind of skid that shakes confidence in the locker room and in the betting markets. In terms of personnel, the Rockets are still without Tari Eason, Fred VanVleet, and Alperen Sengun, so they are again down key pieces in their rotation. Sengun being out in particular leaves them a little exposed inside, even if they have ways to compensate with effort and scheme. The Kings have again ruled out Domantas Sabonis and Keegan Murray, which pulls a lot of interior playmaking and spacing off the floor for them and keeps their offense from looking like its usual version. Even with those absences, the Rockets are coming in as firm favorites against a Kings team that has gone ice cold and is dealing with its own injuries. Houston will not be happy about dropping 2 straight to the Trail Blazers, especially as favorites, but now they get another shot at a struggling team instead of a heavyweight, and that kind of spot usually feels like a chance to reset. Here is the thing, though, as much as nobody wants to back the Kings right now, because they have been awful for long stretches, the Rockets are not exactly making it easy to pay a premium on them. Houston has lost 3 of its last 4 games in the big favorite role and has failed to cover in its last 4 overall. All of a sudden, they are just 3-7 against the spread in their last 10, which is a big drop from the early season version that was printing tickets. The Rockets have also seen 11 of their 13 losses this season come on the road, which matters when they are being asked to win by margin away from home. The Kings, for all their struggles, did beat the Rockets a couple of weeks ago in overtime as 11-point underdogs, and they have actually won 4 of the last 5 meetings overall. So even in a rough season, this particular matchup has not been one where Houston can just show up and coast. Given all that, this number starts to look inflated for a Rockets team that has not been closing games well lately. They may still get the win, but asking them to cruise by margin on the road against a team that has had their number recently feels like a stretch. Taking the points with Sacramento makes more sense than trusting Houston to suddenly flip a switch as a big favorite again. As our first pick for this matchup, the Sacramento Kings to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The Houston Rockets are averaging 120 points on 49% shooting and allowing 111.4 points on 46.6% shooting. They are hitting 39.3% from beyond the arc and 78% from the free throw line. On defense, they are allowing 35.8% shooting from deep and grabbing 48.8 rebounds per game. That profile says a lot. Houston scores efficiently, stretches the floor well from 3, and controls the glass at a high level, which creates extra possessions and second-chance looks. At the same time, they are not shutting teams down on the perimeter, so opponents can keep up on the scoreboard when their outside shots fall. The Sacramento Kings are averaging 110.9 points on 46.1% shooting and allowing 122.3 points on 49.7% shooting. They are shooting 34.8% from beyond the arc and 76.2% from the free throw line. Defensively, they are allowing 36.2% shooting from deep and pulling in 40.7 rebounds per game. Those numbers are pretty blunt. The Kings' offense is decent but not explosive, yet their defense is giving up a huge amount on the other end with high opponent field goal and three-point percentages. They are not a dominant rebounding team either, which means opponents like the Rockets can really punish them on the glass. Put both profiles together and you get a matchup where one team is efficient on offense and dominant on the boards, and the other gives up a lot of points and a lot of clean looks from everywhere. That combination usually produces games where the scoring climbs because stops are hard to come by and missed shots often turn into quick second chances. Even if the Kings' offense is missing some key names, their defense is vulnerable enough that Houston can put up a big number, and the Kings should still do enough scoring of their own to keep the total moving upward. With both teams' defensive weaknesses and Houston's shooting and rebounding edge in play, this shapes up as the kind of matchup where a higher point total is more likely than a slow, low-scoring grind. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.